Alistair Reid, a great poet and translator who helped me with this poem. He took out the last two lines and it stayed as it is. You must love the land when you leave to build your house on the sea. Love what's lost, the mango tree burning in the garden, the curious noose of the familiar coat of arms. Love the ball turning strong, spinning in a dark, faraway land. Love the tongue you'll never again speak, that wrapped you and bled you and dried up some every day on the other side of the sea. So ironically, even though I speak a number of languages, I lost a language, which was Tamil, the language of my childhood. I spoke three languages then, Tamil and Sinhalese and English. And when I got to England as a kid, 8-year-old, 8.5, I think some jarring experiences, and I said to myself, I'll never speak this language again. And I guess I kept my dark compromise of word, and I've always regretted that. So now I'll read from, just for old time's sake, I read from this book here many years ago. It came out, and I thought I'd read you one poem from The Elephants of Reckoning. A City with Elephants. The elephants of reckoning are bunches of scruff men and women picking up thrown out antennae from the rubbish bins of the city to fix on their tubular bells and horn about by oil can fires in the freezing midnight of the old new year. We ride by their music every hour in cabs, on trains, hearing the pit-pat of our grown wise pulse, shut in, shut out from the animals of the dry season, the losers and boozers. We must not admit our eyes into that courtyard, the whimsy of chance and our other excuses, dollars in pocket. To write beautiful songs is all I ask God, to do right with friends and love a woman and live to 80, have people listen to the story of my trip to America. The elephants of reckoning are beaten and hungry and walk their solitary horrors out every sunrise, slurping coffee bought with change, while in some houses freedom-bound lovers embrace late and read Tagore about the people working underneath the falling of empires. You know, Tagore was a great traveler, and I've had the luck of traveling a lot in my life. And he was also an Indian nationalist, and I guess I'm a Tamil nationalist for a country that does not exist, Elam, which was the country that the Tamils fought for in that terribly uncivil war that finished in Sri Lanka. Now I'll read from a book called Coconuts on Mars, which came out in 2019. Living Will. There are copies of these books here tonight. One day I will sit down with my soul and write that I've loved every bird that flew, every monkey on the branch, every elephant charging through the grass. I will say I love you as much as the baby gecko scampering past my foot, the snake rustling under the wood, cut and stacked in my yard. I will say I've loved every creature, every song, every turn in the road, and I will be lying with my eyes open and my eyes closed. I'm not God. I'm not even the dog loyal to his master, who misses him blind like his daughter in Lima, which I call at night, until the next time we meet in dreams via chat, cheek to cheek, remembering that in paradise there are no trains or roads or seas or death, no going away, no arriving, doors and gardens open, souls who come and go smiling, and all the angels, all birds, all dolphins, all men and women in song dancing, and why not reciting the Song of Solomon, the epic poems, the love songs that consoled when we set off on the roads, hopped on trains and aeroplanes, got caught in traffic in our head, said goodbye before saying hello. Did I know you down there? You were the greengrocer I walked past going to school in London. Oh, my dear, how beautiful you are, Pauline, with ripe red hair, who shared the religion prize with me at St. Vincent's on Blandford Street. But you may be alive still, and I'm not ready to meet my Maker, to be plucked from the cycle of rebirth. Not yet. I have poems to compose, children to raise, earth to cultivate. Come back later, angel. I have my will to revise. Thank you. This book, The Splintered Face, was my second book with Hanging Loose, and I wrote it after the tsunami of 2004, the Boxing Day tsunami, the great Asian tsunami, which I couldn't believe it. I was listening to the radio in Rockville, Maryland, and I heard the stories of thousands of people disappearing from the beaches of Sri Lanka. And of course, Indonesia, many more, and a cataclysm. And I couldn't understand why this island was being visited by this cataclysm after the Civil War and so on. It couldn't quite get my head around it. I've since learned that cataclysms visit certain places quite a lot. I mean, Haiti is a country I'm very close to, and that has been hit by so many. Anyway, this poem, the title poem from this book, Face. Imagine half your face rubbed out, yet you're suited up and walking to the office. How will your mates greet you with heavy hearts, flowers, rosary beads? How shall we greet the orphan boy, the husband whose hands slipped, children and wife swept away? How to greet our New Years and our birthdays? Shall we always light a candle? Do we remember that time erases the shore, grass grows, pains modified? At Hikkaduwa in 1980, I wrote a ditty, a sailor's song, about rain in sunny Ceylon. I don't know what Calypsonians would compose about this monstrous wave, this blind hatchet man. Don't know the Baila singer's reply. We are a happy and go people, yet the fisherman's wife knows her grandfather was eaten by the ocean. Fisher communities have suffered in time, and what's happened now is just another feast for that bloody sleeping mother lapping at her island. But what if the ocean were innocent? The tectonic plates innocent? What if God were innocent? I do not know how to walk upon the beach, how to lift corpse after corpse until I am exhausted, how to stop the tears when half my face has been rubbed out beyond the railroad tracks, and this anesthetic, this calypso come to the last verse. What shall we write in the sand? Where are gravestones incinerated? Whose ashes are these urned and floating through a house throttled by water? Shall we build a memorial some calculated distance from the sea in a park in the shape of a giant wave where we can write the names of the dead? Has the wave lost its beauty, considered now obscene? Yet tomorrow we must go to the ocean and refresh ourselves in the sea breeze down in Hikkaduwa where it is raining in sunny Ceylon. Tomorrow we must renew our vows at sunrise, at sunset. Let us say the next time the ocean recedes and parrots gawk and flee and restless dogs insist their humans wake up, we will not peer at the revelation of the ocean bed, nor seek photographs. We will run to higher ground, and gathered there with our children, our cats, our dogs, our pigs, with what we've carried in our hands, albums, letters, we will make a circle, kneel, sit, stand in no particular direction and pray, and be silent, and open our lungs, and shout thanks to our gods, thanks to our dogs. Thank you. Naturally, there's a little bit of a debt to T.S. Eliot there at the end, you know, the dog that you, in the garden, you know, in that poem that we all have read, The Wasteland. I just want to read one poem for you in French, which is also a new book, Sur l'île nostalgique. and just to have, and you know, every week I write a poem in French, a column in a Haitian newspaper. And so if any of you would like to receive those poems, Mark referred to these email, leave me your email and I'd be happy to oblige. A brief poem called Le Pays à côté, the country beside us. Viens avec moi, la porte est ouverte, la citerne pleine, et il y a toute une île pour explorer, un univers dont la mer est sur la terre. Mais en même temps, rebondit la question, pour combien de temps? Un mois, un an, une vie. Et si le chat a 9 vies, pourquoi pas l'homme à l'étranger, de pays en pays, jusqu'à l'arrivée au pays sans chapeau, la roue de l'enterrement dans le cœur du nœud en centre-ville. Le pays sans chapeau, you know, so that's why I keep my hat on my head, to avoid that, the country without. Now, I'll, oh, funny, I don't have, well, I'll take this right here. The book that, and then I'll finish with Blue Window, which is my...
Listening to a poetry reading.
Go ahead.
It's from Zoom.
Oh. Now, from the migrant states, which it's an ambitious book, and there's a conversation with Walt Whitman throughout the book, and I'll read 2 poems. This one I wrote on Walt's 200th birthday. Let me just, and it goes like this. Walt 200. Break the locks, unleash the mind. Walt Whitman has left Paumanok. He is abroad. He is sitting among us in our soul. He flies the post with pigeons and the giant freight planes. He hops freight trains and rides into Mexico. He's on a P&O cruise visiting St. Kitts and Barbados. He has joined the Merchant Marine. He sails into Guantanamo. He throws fish in the sea in search of whales. He has the biggest, longest beard in the world. He jives, thrives, cavorts, shimmers. He's 200 years old today, and he does not give a flying rat. He's in your mind, Mr. President, even if you cannot smother or scratch or squeeze him out. He is gloriously spirit, gadfly, rabbit, and sloth. He nurses our democratic wounds. He knows how to write history from the pebble's view, the side glance of the wren, the snake hanging in the tree. He is black and white and all shades of grey. He is our friend and guide, and he will elect us every time we fall down. Let us go back to Paumanok with what we've learned these 200 years. Let us go back to set forth again Walt Whitman in our backpack. Yeah. Thank you. Now, the president referred to there, I think you all know what I mean. It's not the current occupant of the White House that I referred to. In fact, next year I'm publishing a new book called 10,000 Steps Against the Tyrant. And again, the tyrant is that same president. And I hope this is being broadcast to my employer. I'm still employed, you know. The Foreign Service serves all presidents, actually. But there's one president I had a lot of trouble serving. A poem I wrote a number of years ago when my son was younger, Summer Chess for Anandan. You go now, and I'm sad, and the sadness will spill into late summer and autumn until we meet again when the leaves fall and chestnuts smack our memories alive. And you ask, Dad, did you always walk in Regent's Park when leaves turned red and yellow and the morning bristled and the sun seared yet left your skin cold? A cold sun, Dad. I feel it too. This summer that I thought would go slow has turned now into a sprinter's dash. And what's to do? Yes, write and fill days with friends and games and sums until next summer, until the next time we go to bed and know there's no morning flight and your queen and rook are ready to trap my king. And one more, morning mass, Halloween for Lola. Hushed tones, place of worship, early morning. A woman kneeling in the pew could not get up. The priest brought her communion. Then another parishioner called for an ambulance. The fireman, a friend of the ambulance driver, arrived in his fire truck. They worked together naturally. What to do now? Walk to the font, dip fingers in holy water, then go out to my car. Paramedics will lay her on a stretcher, pump her heart, wheel her away to the hospital. Life is coming to its end. A repeat. In my dad's case, his heart stopped while he kneeled at a pew. Nobody could revive it. He would have loved to see my daughter smiling as she guards the witch's cauldron this Halloween, sweets in hand. Thank you. And I don't know how much time I have, but I'd like to read a few poems from the new book, Blue Window. It's a book I wrote in Spanish. Ventana Azul is the title, and translated by Jennifer Rathburn into English, which was a wonderful experience for me, and I think for her as well, this exchange. Obviously, I worked with her on the English as well, but she also worked with me on the Spanish, so the book improved as a result. I'll just read, I'll finish, I'm not sure how much time I have, but I finish with
5 minutes.
About 5 minutes, okay, thanks. Sobre el cuerpo. Escribo sobre el cuerpo porque a pesar de las nubes de olvido, descubro que tengo uno todavía y se pueden alterar sus ambiciones, correr hacia arriba en el cerro, ilusionarme con amar de nuevo. On my body. I write on my body because in spite of clouds of oblivion, I find I still have one, and its ambitions can be altered, run to the top of the hill, be fooled by love once again. Una pausa. Hasta luego, hasta la vista, y no hay más tarde. Voy a dormir sin darte abrazo ni apapacho, sin alimento ninguno para tu fantasía ya de antaño. A pause. Goodbye, so long. There are no more farewells. I'm going to bed without embracing or pampering you, without nourishing whatsoever. Your fantasy now gone. Una confesión tardía. I'll just read the English, a late confession. Let us now confess to the priest, to the blank page, to our friends and parents, to the superintendent, to the doorman, that we will no longer walk underneath trees in the park at dusk, holding hands between kisses, or proofread verses nourished by that distant light that cleared the sky and the nocturnal cloak that protected us from the cold. Nor will we rise at dawn to read the mail and search for words that didn't give us light when we crushed the fallen petals that illuminated our time on earth last night. There was a request from Mark to read the poem dedicated to, or inspired by Nicanor Parra. I'd be happy to do that, just I have to find it. Nicanor Parra was a friend, and he very lucky to have known him in his life, and great poet, very funny poet. When I first met him, well, I tell the story in this poem. So, the title in Spanish is Un fracaso, una mariposa, a failure, a butterfly. When Nicanor invited me to dine on oysters and drink Cabernet in his house of wood in La Reina, we spoke in that 1995 of his visit to New Delhi and his adherence to the Hindu idea of leaving ties, family, goods, sex, and walking a beggar through the streets before arriving at the forest to wait for the butterfly to beat her wings, her blinding light. 10 years later, another visit with the poet, this time in Las Cruces, before the sea, and he asked me to read Antonin Artaud about the absurd in modern life. Once again, we remembered the butterfly. 4 years later, he told me to accompany him to his studio in the garden next to his house, my only path now. And seeing a poetry book of mine on his shelf, he commented that he loved the title, El Infierno de los Pájaros. Now the news arrives that he's been awarded the Cervantes Prize. At 97 years, I wonder if he will break his customary path and take a plane to Madrid. Artaud should have the answer, or the Hindu beggar, or no one. He drew me a gift that first time. The motto says, everyone fails in his own way. In the Spanish, dice el lema, cada uno fracasa a su manera. I love that. I think I'm probably running. I'll finish with 2 short poems. This one is called Viaje. I don't know. Maybe I'll just finish with a poem composed on the moment. No sé. Let me just finish with this one poem. It's called En Pocas Palabras Todo. I'm learned a lot from what Ezra Pound did to his poem In a Station in the Metro. It began as a 26-line poem. It ended up as a 2-line poem. And I just spent some time in Paris where I was on the metro a lot. And in this case, I've been able to distill the business down to 3 lines. So I'll read the Spanish and then the English. En pocas palabras, todos. Nacen, crecen, se enamoran, se decepcionan, sobreviven, se enamoran, sobreviven, se alegran, dejan de crecer, disminuyen, se mueren. In a few words, everyone is born, grows, falls in love, is disillusioned, survives, falls in love, survives, is happy, stops growing, diminishes, dies. Thank you very much.